Breaking news, Beto O'Rourke is dropping out of the Democratic presidential race on this Friday night. The former Texas congressman had a couple breakout moments and major fundraising initially, but he lost steam. That's according to him. His campaign announcing he, quote, doesn't have the means to continue on. How new and live is this story? Well, we're looking at live pictures right now, having made the announcement late Friday of Beto O'Rourke addressing his supporters, talking about the campaign, where he goes from here. We'll bring you any highlights that come out of that are newsworthy. But this is a significant shift. Now, Mr. O'Rourke leaves a field that has some of the strongest performances right now being conducted by U.S. senators like Senator Warren and Sanders. If the House does impeach Donald Trump, those senators may find themselves in an unusual position, participating in a Senate trial of the president at the height of their presidential primary coming in the new year. All told, there are 6 senators who could face the dilemma between campaigning in early states and showing up at a trial that Mitch McConnell says could run 6 days a week. Well, I'm joined now by a man who seems to work 8 days a week. Al Sharpton, a host here, a former presidential candidate. Great to have you this Friday evening.
Glad to be with you this Friday evening.
A couple things to get to with you, but let's start with both what it means as you see Beto O'Rourke coming up short and the predicament. If you were a candidate, would you want to have to do an impeachment trial weeks out of Iowa?
No, I think that's a real fear for any candidate because, especially Iowa, it's a touch and feel and hug kind of state.
Retail,
all retail, just about. And the fear that they would be gone 6 days a week from Iowa gives an advantage to non-Senate candidates. The problem is, the dilemma is, do you choose to be absent from the trial, which really gives you a serious negative with national voters in Democratic primary, or absent from Iowa, which means that other people can make all of the stops in the living room.
Wow.
You miss.
It's really,
I'd hate to have to make that decision.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your candor on that. We have Democratic politicians who try to spin it as, oh, everything's going to be fine. You're saying it's a challenge.
No, it's a problem.
On the other hand, of course, you trust Mitch McConnell not to abuse the situation or extend it out. I mean, you trust Mitch McConnell 100%.
About as much as I can lift this building, 30 Rockefeller Center.
It's good. You're like a breath of fresh air on a Friday. I want to turn to something else that's really important, where you are in the news. People know you as someone who works here, and you have your show. But you're also someone that's called on as a civil rights leader. And if folks don't know, this news broke. Facebook has been really under fire. You were going on Monday with several civil rights leaders to meet with Mark Zuckerberg, the top.
Right.
And one of the issues that you're pushing on is about the difference between, okay, do these platforms want to say whether a statement is true or not? A lot of them want to stay out of that. They talk about censorship. But what AOC and other leaders have said is a different problem, which is providing information that could actually undermine civil rights. What are you working on?
Our issue is civil rights voter suppression. When you allow people to buy ads and use your site that are using actual factual information for the purposes of suppressing people from coming out to vote, then you're violating voting rights and civil rights. This is not about regulating free speech. And I think that what we're going to say, the group that has asked for this meeting and that Zuckerman has agreed to meet with, is
Mark Zuckerberg,
yeah, Zuckerberg has agreed to meet with, is that we're not talking about limiting free speech. This is not a free speech issue. This is a voter suppression issue. And when you look at the fact that it is now established that the Russians hacked and used certain social media, that there are all kinds of ways to try and circumvent people of color, black people from voting, for you to now say openly you're doing no fact-checking and all with political ads, even though now Twitter said they will, you will be putting yourself in a position where you're aiding and abetting potential breaches of those that would engage in voter suppression.
Well, and this is such an important issue, and many people in the press, we feel strongly about the First Amendment.
Right.
So you could say all kinds of things. You could say things that are even quite offensive.
Right.
But you can't go and say to someone, don't vote on Tuesday. The election's actually on Saturday.
Right.
Here's a false flyer about that. That's actually a felony.
Exactly right. And you can't become one that says, I will accommodate that in the name of free speech. We actually have seen where people have put out public notices giving the voting date the wrong date or voting sites the wrong sites, and which is, in effect, suppressing the vote with a methodical and strategic end in mind. And I think that he's got to be confronted with that and know that this is what he's doing. And I think that is what we have a responsibility to do, leading national civil rights groups.
Well, I appreciate the work you're doing on it and educating us about it a little bit before you go. I'd love to have you back and hear how it goes on Monday.
I definitely would love to come back and inform people. It's an important issue.
All right. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.